Real Madrid will take on Manchester City in the hopes of securing a Champions League spot in the last 16, a modern-day clash with two of the biggest names in what promises to be a European blockbuster. But that isn't what's worrying the Spanish giants. This is. Madrid could lose one of their biggest players, Brazilian forward Vinicius Jr, to Saudi Arabia. A player at just 24 years playing for what's the biggest club in the world, planning to move to Saudi Arabia does come as a bit of a shocker. But there are multiple reasons on why this move just might happen. Hear me out. The biggest being, of course, the Brazil forward is unhappy in Madrid. Reports suggest there is a bit of a rift between Vinicius and the rest of his teammates. In recent matches, Vinicius has been involved in conflicts with his teammates. In fact, a week ago, during their 1-0 loss to Espanyol, Vinicius was clicked having a heated argument with teammate Dani Ceballos. The same continued in Madrid's next game too, but this time it wasn't Vinicius who was angry, it was his teammate. During the Copa del Rey quarter-final, where Madrid barely managed to secure a win against Leganes, Vinicius was scolded by Madrid's most trusted man, Luka Modric. Modric was furious with Vinicius for not chasing back to defend. And it wasn't just Modric who was livid at Vinicius' lack of intent during that game. Madrid manager Carlo Ancelotti too backed his more senior player and slammed Vinicius.
Sometimes with the opponent's low block, Vinny goes inside to look for a pass behind the defense. It's better to be patient. As you saw in the goal, it was an approach that we had to make in the first half.
And the reason why Madrid seems to be unhappy with Vinicius, and probably the other way around, is because of his lack of performance on the field. Though Vinicius executed well at the Champions League, his lack of goals in La Liga has indeed raised concerns. The last time Vinicius scored in La Liga was way back in November last year. The forward has scored 0 goals and has only assisted once in the last 5 La Liga matches. The anger, aggression and the attitude of a star are all there with Vinicius, but the Brazilian has failed to back it all up with the numbers. Enough reasons then for Madrid and Vinicius to really be a little estranged at this point. But wait, there's more. Reports say Vinicius has demanded a salary similar to what the club is shelling out to keep their other star, Kylian Mbappé, which is around $16 million excluding the bonuses. And Madrid are not willing to pay that because probably why Vinicius rejected Madrid's offer in the first place. And I understand Vinicius' frustration. Sure, he may not be the best of form right now, but ever since Mbappé arrived in Madrid, his role has changed drastically. He's no longer expected to just score goals. That's not his primary role. Rather, create more opportunities for Mbappé to score. And while the duo started off on a strong note, as you'll see here. The ego clashes were bound to draw a wedge between the two, and then of course there is the whole racism row that Vinicius has been engulfed in ever since he arrived in Spain 7 years ago. That ought to create more unrest in the young star's mind. His affection towards European football faced a massive dent recently as well when he was denied the Ballon d'Or and Rodri was crowned the winner instead. Clearly the Brazilian has more than one solid reason to leave a club like Madrid. The only problem here is that the Brazilian's Madrid contract runs out in 2027, and the biggest catch, of course, is that he has a release clause of about $1 billion, a staggering amount for any club to fork out. but not if you're a club in Saudi Arabia, who happen to have shown interest in the Brazilian. And Saudi, in the current scenario, seems the only place where Vinicius could actually get the salary he wants, the one that matches Mbappé. And while this is enough for Vinicius to consider an offer if it comes his way, there is an emotional connection too. Vinicius has long been a Cristiano Ronaldo admirer, and the legend has in turn continued to be Vinicius' biggest supporter.
This young generation, Vinicius, that they do a fantastic job, and in my opinion, he deserved to win the Golden Ball. It was unfair, in my opinion. I say here in front of everybody. They give to Rodrigo. He deserved to, but I think they should give to Vinicius because he win the Champions League. They scored in a final goal. The other issues for me is not important. When you deserve, you should give who deserves.
As long as his teammates and the system, that is the European football, continue to stand up against Vinicius, the player's place in this setup looks very gloomy. A move to play in the same league as Ronaldo, someone who has always backed him, might just nudge Vinicius in that direction. And although the decision may sound bizarre at this point, given the way Saudi has wrestled their way into the top tier of the football world, winning the bid for the FIFA World Cup in 2034, the future of football seems to be making its way to the Middle East. So the big question only that will remain, will Vinicius choose money and his peace of mind over playing in Europe and cementing his legacy there? But then again, what is legacy that comes with tears and pain?
We're calling the show Vantage. We hope you like what we put together for you. Touted as the minimum defense from that video. India's neighbours were the first to send the special edition of Vantage live from the White House throughout this week. Yes, Hindu Mandir we're on our way to Tel Aviv. City measure, but it's also the perfect way to drive.
I don't think that
Prime Minister of Bhutan, Sherin Tagwe. Welcome to
60% of the world's
office, Prime Minister Modi. Did the iron.
we were actually
How are you doing? How do you like? It's been 1 year since that meeting. Iron bars separate you from the outside. Out the vote effort. Trump had, it says, and at $4.3 trillion, 300 billion by 2030. That's what we need to tackle climate change.